The city of Johannesburg is there to make the lives of its residents easier. But Freddy 𝗀𝗃𝗃 has only ever seen the dark side of city officials.
I could not believe that my own people can treat us the way we have been treated.
Freddy's fight centered around an incorrect bill for this building he had bought for his non-profit organization, the South African Roadies Association, a fight that has astonishingly continued for 17 long years.
Can you imagine being charged 530,000 for 1 month for water?
When you went into the building in 2005, what were you paying on average then?
4,000. It just went crazy, crazy.
Freddy is a roadie. They're the technical hotshots that make musicians' performances seamless. He wanted to give back those skills and train young South Africans, but he says the city thwarted him at every turn.
It's a sheer abuse of power at the expense of the African child.
And the city could never explain to you why your bill was so high?
No, they could not.
Freddy remembers every Johannesburg mayor for the last 17 years because none of them helped him. Neither did the city ombudsman.
We went through hell, to put it bluntly.
In 2019, he took his fight to the public protector. Last month, he was finally vindicated. The public protector found the city had violated the Constitution and a raft of local legislation.
But what did it say to you that it took, what, 17 years to finally get someone to be on your side?
Hey, it's a mixed feeling. This shouldn't have happened.
In the 17 years that Freddy was fighting with the city, Johannesburg rapidly declined. Billing battles are common, and residents have become cash cows for administrations mired in corruption. The new multi-party coalition is trying to clean up Johannesburg, but they're also asking its ratepayers for further increases.
Just how deep a hole does the city of Joburg find itself in? Crumbling infrastructure, crime and grime? It feels a little unsafe just standing here under this bridge. Illegal connections. I mean, the list is endless.
Michael O'Donovan is a social scientist with a special interest in scraping and analyzing big data. He has looked at the latest increases and believes residents are being fleeced.
Michael, you're an ordinary member of the public. Why do you crunch these numbers? Why do you do this work?
Probably outrage. We are being gouged. We are being taken advantage of.
O'Donovan says the city of Johannesburg has lost sight of its purpose.
The city appears to be acting as a self-interested, self-serving entity. It does not appear to be acting as an entity that is there to serve the interests of the residents.
The proposed increases, he says, of 9.61% for electricity and 9.75% for water are higher than the actual cost of providing the service.
The bulk service providers, Rand Water, Eskom, set an increase, and we all know that these increases have been exorbitant over the last few years. And City then goes and applies that to bulk purchases and all other costs, knowing full well that the other costs are not going up as much.
But the city has a problem. Many residents can no longer afford these increases. In June last year, Johannesburg's own Municipal Finance Committee made a startling finding. For every R1 they bill, they expect to receive only 20 cents.
You think we have a broken city?
We have a broken city, and the unfortunate part is that if the price increases that are being proposed result in less income, we're in a situation where the city may not be able to get out of this hole.
New member of the mayoral committee, Michael Son, whose portfolio includes Pick It Up, Johannesburg Water and City Power, says they're working night and day to revive the city and keep rates affordable.
The city has to function. We buy water from Rand Water, we buy electricity from Eskom, so there's always a cost to the services we have to provide. If we had to always peg our increases on the inflation index, we most probably will not be able to bring services to the residents.
But with electricity bills increasing by 150% in 10 years, it's those costs that are really hurting residents.
Shock and horror, that's my reaction every time I get my monthly statement. Can you relate? Look, if it is what we have consumed, of course we should pay. But the question is City Power a good custodian of our rands?
𝗀𝗍𝗀𝗋 spends hours engaging City Power because she helps businesses get accurate bills when many have given up. She's also worked out the real costs of getting off the grid.
How reliable is the average household electricity bill?
Probably 60% of them are incorrect.
And we're paying more than we owe.
Absolutely, yes.
In 2021, 𝗀𝗍𝗀𝗋 reported City Power's alleged license transgressions to NERSA.
City Power's license should be taken away from them because they don't comply. Not just from a metering point of view, but also from a safety point of view, because they're actually putting people's lives at risk.
Merrick Ramatlo is acting for the acting CEO of City Power.
There are those who criticize the city and say that ultimately what it wants to do is to try and use electricity as a cash cow.
Bongani, if you do a benchmark, the tariffs and rates of City Power are still much lower compared to other municipalities.
But there's more than one benchmark to judge City Power. Another is their safety record. No one knows that better than Merritt Tyson. Shortly after he moved to Johannesburg, he got the shock of his life, literally. All his taps were live.
I just stepped in and touched the taps, and again, it just shocks you right through the body.
But he was still determined to shower.
I had to put on my slops so I wasn't grounded. I had to go up to the tap, turn it on, make sure I don't touch anything. And then once I'm finished, leave the water running, get fully dry, change the slops, then turn off the taps without touching the water. It was quite a mission to take a shower here.
He couldn't find the fault, so he called an electrician.
He thought something was weird, so he starts like testing the gutters, and the gutters are also live. And he was just testing things, and everything was just live.
Eventually, the electrician traced the fault to City Power.
So he realized that the live and the earth had been connected the wrong way around to the house.
But it still took a week for City Power to arrive after the complaint was logged.
And they immediately turned off the power, and they said, no, we need to turn off your power until we can fix this because it's fatal.
So has City Power become a danger to its residents and a liability rather than an asset for Johannesburg?
What's your response to the assertion that City Power is in a deep debt black hole?
Look, City Power is a going concern. I don't agree with the assertion that we are there.
Merrick, the figure I have is a 10 billion rand debt hole.
For City Power, we're talking of about 6 billion rand.
That is still significant.
That's very significant. It's a concern for us.
Is City Power near collapse then?
No, it's not. It's still a going concern. Our liabilities are 70% of our assets.
But City Power's 6 billion rand debt is just the start. More is needed to fix substations and infrastructure.
Are you spending enough on maintenance?
We are spending enough of maintenance, but we've got a backlog of about 26 billion rand, basically to get the whole city infrastructure up and running. But instead, it's diverted in terms of dealing with replacement of cable theft, vandalized mini substations and the like.
26 billion rand. Even for MMC Sun, that is a daunting figure.
When I received the report that City Power alone has got a 26 billion rand infrastructure backlog, then you begin to understand the kind of challenge that we face, not just in City Power, but in the city of Johannesburg.
He now spends nights seeing firsthand how thieves are destroying City Power's infrastructure.
There's nothing here, there's nothing here, there's nothing there.
It's now developed into what I call cable robbery. It's no longer theft. It's an entire syndicate at work.
But is this cable robbery a red herring?
The theft of cables, the theft of substations, pales into insignificant of the amount of money that is now being spent on patchwork, on doing piecemeal repairs to the infrastructure.
The city will argue that they've got this infrastructure backlog that has been building up for nearly 2 decades. They need money to fix it.
Well, the question then arises as to where the money is going. But if you look at what's happened to City Power, capital investment is 1/6 of what it was in 2013. The number of employees in City Power is 1/3 of what it was.
So what, they're paying more to fewer people to do less?
Yes.
Disillusioned and angry residents are leaving the city. Others are considering off-grid solutions.
What the city is not realizing is that people might not be sitting here on Carte Blanche talking about it, is that people are they're talking in a very different way.
But now there are rumblings the city may charge a solar tax.
The city says that they basically will penalize people who have gone off the grid, who is grid-tied and have invested in alternative energy, because they believe that they are losing revenue.
But City Power says there is no decision yet, and 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝘀 assures residents that for the foreseeable future, a solar tax is not part of the city's plan.
I think it's a crazy idea. There certainly has no been any political direction from the executive mayor or myself to City Power to say, go charge our residents a solar tax.
City Power is still the backbone of Johannesburg's revenue, but its troubles threaten the viability of the city itself, according to Johannesburg's own Public Accounts Committee. So we will have to pay up, or Johannesburg as we know it could cease to exist. But is City Power keeping to its part of that social compact?